All right, YouTube. I know most of you guys that are watching this video, if you've come here astray because you want to see a comparison between Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Edwards, that's great. I'm going to break that down for you, but I got to tell you that I am doing this video for my fantasy basketball league that is called the NBA Retro League on Fantrax. So the Pistons are taking on the Warriors in this fantasy league. We have a postseason draw where I draw stats randomly from the regular season, and that's how we determine our playoff winners. You got 48 minutes per position, and so it matters how guys perform per minute. So I just wanted to clear that up for those of you that might be here just, for this comparison between these two players, and you're going to be a little confused by some of my talk when I start talking about the Pistons and the Warriors. So the Warriors have Donovan Mitchell, that's their starting two guard, and the Pistons have Anthony Edwards as their starting two guard, the star from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, these two players are very evenly matched, and in this series, this is going to be a key matchup. I think, each team in this series has their advantages. The Pistons have Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's taking on the power forward for the Warriors, who is Miles Bridges. So there's an advantage for the Pistons. The Warriors have Nikola Vucevic at center. The best center for the Pistons in this league is probably Ivica Zubac and Bam Adebayo. So that one's going to be kind of a tough little battle. I think maybe the Warriors have a slight advantage there. At small forward for the Warriors, or the Pistons rather, we're looking at Paolo Banchero. For the Warriors, we're looking at Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder, a very underrated player. So there I see the Warriors with a bit of an advantage. And then at the point, the Warriors have Luka Doncic and the Pistons have Cade Cunningham. Because of Doncic's injuries, that's going to hurt him during the playoffs because, if it takes him more draws to draw a successful game period, he's going to lose minutes and they're going to have to fall back on their bench. The Warriors will, which will be Amen Thompson. Okay, so let's get down to the comparison of Anthony Edwards of the Pistons and Donovan Mitchell of the Warriors. We'll start with Donovan Mitchell here. Plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, the Cavaliers had a great season this year in the Eastern Conference. They had the best record. So when you look at the numbers, what I like about Donovan Mitchell is that he gets to the line. He's making 4.2 free throws, and that's per game, and he's shooting 82% when he gets there. That's very important to me. It shows me that a player is getting fouled because people can't stop him. They just have to foul him. Another important aspect of the NBA, and I know a lot of people hate this about the NBA right now, and maybe one day they'll change it. And on a side note, I'll let you know what my idea is. I say no team should be allowed to make a three-point shot unless they're down by 3 points or more. You could still shoot like a full court shot if you want, but it's only worth 2 points if you're up in the game. But if you're down by 3 or more, then any shot you take from beyond the arc would be worth 3 points. I think that would fix the NBA, make it a lot better. The three-pointer was always meant to be kind of a desperation shot you took when you needed to make up ground. I think that was the original reason for it. Then, of course, they went into the lab, and they analyzed the players' shots with computers, and they figured out how to beat the system. And they also ran the numbers and did the math, and they figured out how to beat the system. The three-pointer in the NBA was always meant to be a desperation shot when they first came out with it because, guys just weren't used to shooting that. That wasn't the way people played basketball. So that aside, let's just move on here. So Donovan Mitchell, 44% from the floor overall, 37% roughly from three-point range. He makes just over threes per game. Let's compare that to Anthony Edwards. This is where Edwards gains an advantage over Mitchell. Edwards makes almost one more three per game, and he shoots a very impressive 39.5%, almost 40%. Guys like Allen Iverson barely cleared 40% shooting in a season. So for a guy to be doing that beyond the arc, I think that illustrates my point about how big or how much they've mastered the three-point shot in the NBA. it's a different game because they've analyzed it, and guys are working their muscles out in the upper shoulders and stuff. They're doing a lot more weightlifting, so they have a lot more range on their shot. So let's move on to the other aspect here. I was talking about with Donovan Mitchell, I was talking about him getting to the free throw line, and he does it at a fairly good clip. 4.2 free throws made per game, 82% shooting. Edwards here dominates a little bit because he makes a full one more free throw per game, and he shoots a slightly better free throw percentage. Edwards definitely is looking like the superior player right now. However, there's more to it. What about rebounds? Anthony Edwards, as you can see, about 6 rebounds per game. And that's very impressive, actually. Let's check out Donovan Mitchell. Smaller player, Donovan Mitchell, yeah, he's getting 4.5. So again, you got Edwards dominating. Let's go over to Edwards again and look at the assists. Edwards gets 4 to 5 assists per game. Let's go over to Mitchell. This is probably where he might have a little advantage. He gets 5 assists. So, being a smaller player, he's a little better in that respect. Now we move to defense. 1.3 steals for Donovan Mitchell. For Anthony Edwards, 1.2. Look at that. It's even. Edwards gets more blocks as well. Here's the rub, though. Here's the catch. I mean, you can also look at points, 27.6. That's great. Mitchell over here at 24. It's only 3.5 points more. Edwards does make more free throws and more threes. But here's the rub. Edwards also commits 3.2 turnovers per game, and this is where Donovan Mitchell is way more efficient. 2.1 turnovers. And let me tell you, turnovers do matter in basketball, especially when two players are as evenly matched as these two are. And here's another thing to look at. The minutes played. You can see over here, look at the minutes. 31 minutes per game for Donovan Mitchell. Anthony Edwards is out there for 36 minutes per game. So when it boils down to it, Anthony Edwards is not as good in efficiency rating. Donovan Mitchell per minute, when he's on the court, is more efficient than is Anthony Edwards. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves highly lean on this guy. And that's why you would expect then for him to have more rebounds, more not a more assists. He doesn't have more assists than Donovan Mitchell, but more rebounds, more free throws made, more 3-pointers made, more points. But look, Donovan Mitchell is more efficient. So everybody's talking really high about this guy over here, Anthony Edwards. I've heard comparisons to Michael Jordan. I'm not going there. I'm not agreeing with it. Not going to do it. I think Edwards is a good player, and he has his moments just like everybody does. But honestly, he doesn't really present a major advantage for the Pistons in this league over Donovan Mitchell of the Warriors. In fact, the Warriors might have an advantage at the position simply because off the bench, the Warriors are going with Ty Jerome and Kobe White. That's their backup 2 guards. For the Pistons, the backup 2 guard is Benedict Mathurin and Christian Braun. Christian Braun actually has to play small forward a lot of times to back up Paolo Banchero, who was injured a lot during the season, and he's going to lose minutes for that reason when he has bad draws for games. So I don't know. This is going to be a key position right here. Anthony Edwards of the Pistons against Donovan Mitchell. I mean, per minute, Donovan Mitchell, let's just look at the numbers really quick here. Donovan Mitchell, efficiency rating for Donovan Mitchell is 21.6. For Anthony Edwards, his efficiency rating, bear with me, is 23.61. However, even though Edwards has a higher efficiency rating, it's also about efficiency rating per minute. Efficiency rating is kind of one of those stats. You got to understand it. Guys who are on the court longer will get a higher efficiency rating because they're accumulating more stats. But per minute, it's very important to know their efficiency per minute. And what I like to use is efficiency retention. That is simply his efficiency rating divided by his average minutes played. And what I'm looking at here is Anthony Edwards has an efficiency retention rating of 65.2%. And Donovan Mitchell has an efficiency rating of 68.7%. That simply means that when Donovan Mitchell is on the court, he's more efficient than Anthony Edwards. So I'm not really sure if this is an advantage for the Pistons here. This is going to be a key matchup in our league in the playoffs. I think that it comes down to the bench, obviously, then Donovan Mitchell leaving a lot more on the table in terms of minutes because he plays less minutes than Anthony Edwards. He plays quite a bit less minutes. You can see it right here, 31.4 minutes per game for Mitchell. And if you look at Edwards, he's averaging 36.3 minutes. So he's averaging 5 more minutes. The Warriors in this league, this fantasy basketball league, are going to have to lean a lot more on their bench. And there they have Ty Jerome and Kobe White, two really good players. And you look at the Pistons, and their backup shooting guard is going to be Benedict Mathurin, but he plays small forward for them a lot, and his efficiency retention rating is 51.1. Christian Braun also can play backup shooting guard for them, and he plays it at 54.8%. You can see the difference between the players. Anthony Edwards, 65.2%. Christian Braun, 54.8%. That's efficiency rating divided by average minutes played. Very important in this league. This league is all about efficiency, and I talked about how you determine the efficiency rating earlier. So, guys, that's all I have for you today. I think this is going to be a great series. The Warriors got by the Rockets in this league, 4-3. It was just a great series, a lot of fun. I think we're in for another dogfight here in the second round. And the winner of this series is going to go up against my team, the number 1 seed, the San Diego Saints. We're waiting, baby. Can't wait to see what happens in this one. It'll take about a week to get it done. And meanwhile, in the other conference championship series that we're waiting on, it's going to be the Nuggets. That's AJ Nardi's team against Mark Jones's Carolina Copperheads. So for you YouTubers that made it to this point, hey, congratulations. Hey, stay in touch. Watch these videos. I just cover my fantasy basketball and football leagues with this YouTube channel, and I like to do that. That's my main purpose, but I also think that I can offer maybe some insight. We have a rookie football league. Basically, it's like, I don't want to get into it because that's another video. So at any rate, tomorrow, game 1 between the Pistons and the Warriors should be a great series. I'll talk to you guys later.